Girls of Reddit, what was the best flirting technique someone did to you? It was my first day in middle school and this kid asked to see my planner. I handed it to him and he flipped to the contacts section and left me his name and number. I'll never forget how smooth he was. We were 15. Opening credits of the movie started. He put his arm around me and said if I'm going to start flirting, I'd better start early. Been together 23 years. He said I have a riddle for you, then he took my hand and traced a line down the middle of my palm. This is a river. It is too wide to jump over, too deep to wade across, too fast to swim across, and too long to go around. There is a bunny stuck on one side of it. How does the bunny cross the river? After about 10 minutes of me trying to guess the answer, I gave up and asked him how the bunny got across the river. He said, "Who cares? I just wanted to hold your hand." We'd met previously and he was trying to get out of the friend zone quickly. I told him I was too busy to date. He offered to hang out with me while I plowed through a ton of errands, including an oil change, getting gas, returning shoes, picking up cleaning, and blowing up balloons for a party. It was so nice to have support of me being me and me doing stuff, and it was nice low-key no pressure hanging out to get to know each other. I was so busy that day I forgot to eat lunch and he got me a donut and coffee. I married him. Not sure if this counts as flirting, but he read my favorite book just so we'd have something in common to talk about. Edit. Tism for the awards and upvotes OMGR. A guy told me that he liked my shoes and asked where I'd gotten them. We were in a bowling alley. Told me he liked to draw and asked for my number so he could send me some examples. Then he free-handed a picture of a moose for me. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you for the rewards. I am adding a link to the moose pic he sent me. The moose pic. He bought me the book I was looking at in the bookstore. Just being genuinely nice. My boyfriend was too shy to flirt with me at first since we're only friends. So he texted me saying I looked really nice that day after seeing me, and it was such a simple thing but it really made my day better. And that can let the person know you are interested in them. It doesn't need to be a big scheme. Time to read comments and build EXP. Flirted with my dog first. I started dating the university's lone wolf and was extremely surprised to find how incorrigible a flirt he was. But he didn't speak my native language. He was not from my state and my parents wouldn't have approved of our relationship. When I told him I didn't want to lead him on, he said we would try our best and if it didn't work out he would take full responsibility for his broken heart and that I need not feel pressured. The feeling of liberation I felt cinched the deal for me. Looking back, I am strangely touched by how he, an introvert, had allowed himself to be openly vulnerable in front of me. After 7 years of a solid relationship, which included 3 years of wearing my parents down to accept him, we got married a couple of months ago. We were classmates in college and one morning, I called him on my way to school. I lived over an hour away and we usually called and chatted while I drove, and complained about a headache. When I got to school, he was there with ibuprofen, water, and one of those yogurt parfait thingies. I also made a comment once about my eyeliner running out, and he brought one to school the next day. Found out from his brother after we started dating that he had spent like an hour at the store asking the makeup employees for the right one since he had no idea what an eyeliner pen was. We've been married for 4 years now and he's still a total sweetheart. Edit. Holy it. My inbox has exploded. Thank you for the awards. I'm reading the comments to my husband right now, lol. But to clarify to those saying this could be creepy behavior, it definitely could in a different situation. I don't recommend doing this with someone you don't have a good base with. If you like to do nice things for people, don't make it seem like you expect anything in return. We already had a pretty solid friendship and he was, and still is, honestly the best friend I'd ever had. He never made any advances on me or put any pressure on our relationship. I used to wonder if he was just nice or if he actually liked me. That's how good he was at being chill. I ended up confessing my feelings to him a few months later. I come from an abusive family, so having him be there for me, listen to me, respect my boundaries, etc. was mind-blowing. He's been a great partner and I'm very thankful for people like him. I once had a guy walk up to me at a bar and said, "Hello, my name is Rob and I'll be hitting on you tonight. What can I get you to drink?" Silly, playful, and direct. We dated for about 8 months. Edit. Wow. Thank you for the awards. For anyone wanting to use this line. He said it in a playful way with a huge smile. We need a dedicated Thirsty Thursday thread for posts like this. I was playing my 3DS on the train and a guy sat across from me. Said, "Excuse me, can I ask what you're playing?" And we struck up a conversation. I was so engaged that I almost missed my stop. Afterwards we would sit and talk on our way home and he started gifting me books from his work. That's when I asked him out. Edit. Instead of answering individual questions, the game was Animal Crossing. New Leaf. My go-to game to wind down after a long day. When I asked him out, he said yes. But after a few dates, we parted amicably. Sorry, no love story here. Love the phrasing of that question. And I shall use that from now on. How did you and mom meet? She did flirting to me. I had a boyfriend who was really into working out and martial arts. I asked him to show me a move and he swept my feet out from under me. Then caught me and kissed me. Hottest thing ever. I don't know if it's the best but it's definitely the most memorable. I was at the gym and had been honestly taking things to the extreme for a while and not listening to my body. I suddenly got very dizzy and my sight became white. On the realization that I was about to pass out, I slowly lowered myself down to the floor. One of the guys working out came swooping in to grab me and prevent my head from hitting the floor. He laid me down and tried to get me to remain conscious, asking me all sorts of questions that required some concentration like what day of the week it is and who is the president. When he saw that I was okay and recovering, his questions started getting flirty. What's my name? What's my number? Now that he's become my knight in shining armor, can he take me out on a date sometime? It really made me laugh and feel better just by him being so light-hearted about it. He got my number. I met my now husband while I was in the hospital. He worked there and I was a frequent patient unfortunately. Anyway, he would bring daffodils to my room. Or apple juice. He snuck me extra warm blankets and would sit with me before after his shift. When I got out, he offered to get groceries and wash my hair. All of it just as a friend. He knew I wasn't interested in dating while going through everything and so he was just there. Turns out I happen to like him there and we are celebrating our 12th anniversary this year. Made eye contact. Asked interesting questions. Listened to my answers and responded. He didn't make the conversation about him. We met at a Halloween house party and when I was going to leave he walked me to the room with all the coats which also happened to be a kid's room and he asked me what color crayon would you like to write your phone number with? I married him. Celebrated 20 years. Told me at a Halloween party that he had his eye on me. Proceeded to hand me a squishy eyeball. I was walking on my university campus. Tripped and dropped my books. Heeled sandals. Raised sidewalk. He asked me if I was okay, and picked up my books. He then carried my books and walked me to class. We chatted the entire walk, and when we got to my class, he asked for my phone number. I tore off a piece of paper, and wrote it, but without my name. I wanted to see if he was listening when I told him. He listened. We've been married over 20 years. He makes me smile every day. Edit. You all have made us smile, and laugh. Thank you. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you for the awards. You're too kind. Not me but my mum. My mum and dad were set up by a friend of theirs. My mum is completely deaf. Upon being told this before he met her, my dad went out and learnt as much sign language as he could before he met her. My mum doesn't know sign language. Adorable and hilarious. Years and years ago I worked at Florist where the owner illegally hired mostly Mexican girls in the States to learn English. They went to school, but worked for a rate that wasn't even minimum wage. It was super shady, but I loved working with them. We would make up little games to teach me Spanish them English. Anyway, this Latin guy comes in one day and one of the girls is helping him. He wants to get a bouquet for a girl he likes. So she takes him around the store, showing him what she thinks are the best flowers. She wraps it all up for him and right as he pays, He writes his number on the paper and hand them to her. I was floored. It was so smooth. She was completely unfazed. Like, oh, that's how men are like where I'm from. Men don't do that here. I was like, nope. Edit. I used nonplussed originally instead of unfazed. In my neck of the woods it does mean unfazed. But yes, I'm aware it also means surprised. Thank you Reddit for this interesting regional grammar lesson. Invited me over to watch Gordon Ramsay anger compilations and make candy bugs. Update. We're still together and he is a chef now. My husband thinks he is flirting when he swings his peep around or pokes me with it. Last year of college for us. He'd show up after my classes and follow me around everywhere, talking incessantly. When he'd see me on campus he'd run over to say hi. I would flirt by sometimes picking a little wildflower to give to him when I saw him next that day. He'd wear it in his shirt or behind his ear. We now have 2 sons and he's taught the older one, younger as a baby, to give me little wildflowers when we're out walking together. It's in college. My best friend was this guy that I had a flirty friendship with, but we were both dating other people. We lived in the same buildings as each other freshman, junior year, and spent a lot of time together, but again, we were with other people. Freshman year we were watching a movie together and this couple had an epic kiss in the rain, and I offhandedly mentioned I thought it was so romantic. Senior year rolls around and we're both finally single. We were walking home from a party. It started raining and he just kinda grabbed me and kissed me, and mentioned he thought about what I said anytime it rained. We had a very intense relationship for about a year and then it kind of ended in disaster and we haven't spoken since lol. TLDR. Pay attention to the little details and things the person you're into likes. Show them you care about them by listening. Hey, do you want to help me throw fruit at my friends? 16-year-old boy at summer camp, holding a bunch of oranges, who wanted to meet me. I was also 16 at the time. Asking me my favorite Lego Star Wars character. He kind of ruined it though by trying to kiss me 2 minutes later. Kindergarten. We walked home together all the time from school and he would do something cute, funny, caring to make sure I was on the inside of the sidewalk when we were together. Like he would twirl me around and guide me to the inside or tickle my side and jokingly push me to the inside of the sidewalk. I guess not a typical flirt move, but considering 99% of the I was walking to get anywhere, him wanting me to be safe when we were together was so sweet. We are not together and have never dated, but that still is one of the top things on my list of sweet moments. Even in school he'd walk on the outside cause I always got shoulder checked by people passing by. Guy here. Only tried this once. I was at a formal function and this cute little brunette was sitting at my table. We made eye contact all evening and chatted as best we could with someone sitting in between us. As the evening was winding down, my roommate, who I rode with, was ready to leave and go to a local bar. I went up to the young lady and put my hand gently on her bare back and told her that we were leaving and I hoped to see her at the bar. I really, truly had never been that forward with anyone before. We have been married now for over 30 years and she still comments on that moment. So I guess it worked. We were walking quietly at night and he stopped, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I think you just broke my writer's block." Not sure if it was a technique. It seemed genuine. When we parted ways he went home and wrote the first song he'd written in months. Boo, it was super hot and I melted when he said it. I like sunsets, they're kind of my thing. I photograph them, have sold calendars about them. I just like sunsets. Anyway, I was participating in a medical study, and we were sequestered to our room for 14 days. The guy I liked would send me pictures of the sunset each night, because he didn't want me to miss any. Edit. I didn't expect this comment to get any notice. Thank you for the sweet response. To those saying marry him, I did. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a big reason why I did. Not a girl, but I like staring at women until they notice and then quickly look away and leave without saying anything and repeatedly calling myself a creepy idiot who deserves to die alone. Not a woman, but once my buddy practiced on me before he went to talk to a girl he liked. He said he liked my huge tits and ass and wondered if I'd like to sit on his D. Didn't work on the girl, but I certainly felt something spark inside when he tried it on me. Was riding home with the friend group back in 2008. We stopped to drop off the one guy, and I got out to stretch. I mentioned that the stars were so much more visible up there in the mountains and he said, "Yeah, they're really pretty. Wish I had someone to watch them with. I'm a sucker for corny guys." We got married the next year and are celebrating 12 years this June. Eater, the 3rd of June 2009 since he can't remember Mayo. My first boyfriend came into the store where I was working and just straight up told me he had seen me through the window and needed to run home to clean up, put on something nice so he could come back and ask me on a date. It was super endearing. Edit to add, he didn't watch me through the window lol. Just saw me in passing and wanted to ask me out. This was well before dating apps where you basically had to ask in person. He was within my age range. Nice smile and just had a good energy. Also his secondary flirting technique worked just as well. He brought me a book on our second date because I had mentioned in passing that I love to read. He was good at making me feel heard. Just be open and honest. Try to talk to me like I'm a human being instead of a conquest. He came up to me and said, "I was wondering if you could help me. Capital I, seem to have lost my Congressional Medal of Honor around here somewhere. I was in Chicago on business, got a horrible migraine, and had to cancel a meeting with a man I had met with, for work, the day before. I get really bad migraines. Really bad. After it was over I had to get a bit of food and something to drink. But it was very late and there was no way I would survive any kind of car cab ride. He was the only person I knew in town. So I sent him a text to see if he knew of anything in my area that would be safe open that late within walking distance. He drove 30 minutes across town in the middle of the night to walk me to a 24-hour restaurant and buy me dinner. I've been with him for 11 years now. As a person with zero game who is also quite oblivious, being direct is hot and clear communication and doing it with confidence works the best. But also one time someone asked me if you were a pirate would you keep your parrot on this shoulder or this shoulder, putting his arm around me to touch the furthest shoulder. TBH, it actually turned me on even though it was extremely stupid. Edit. Okay y'all, to be clear, I don't condone touching a stranger or anyone without their consent unless you understand the parameters of your relationship already. This person was my friend and we were vibing lol. Your pants are unzipped. Tried it as a young adult and worked about half the time. When I was 10 I received a love letter from a boy. It contained a flower inside, and at the bottom of the letter he wrote some cheat codes for Mortal Kombat for me. He knew I was always playing that game on my Sega. First time I hung out at my current BF's house before we started dating. We were laying on the floor listening to records and he turned to ask me what time it was. I think it was 4 if I remember. He then said, "Wow, you've been here 4 hours and I haven't kissed you yet." Still makes me smile. And needless to say, it worked very well. By doing nothing, my husband was quiet and it was mysterious, which required no flirting. I wanted to know more about him and had a fun challenge to get him to talk. The ones that always came off strong or super outgoing flirty made me red to the face, nervous, and freaked out. Now we've been together for 14 years and the most chill relationship ever. Edit. His friends when I asked about him said, "Who? Oh, that's Danny, he's the asshole." He said, "I caught feelings for you," and I looked at him confused, but blushing. He showed me my screen and that he had caught a Pokémon for me and gave it the nickname Feelings. We are married and have 2 kids now. Edit. Thank you all for the upvotes. I told my husband about it and he's stoked. He brought me a huge tub of my favorite ice cream flavor after hearing that I was having a bad day. He did my dishes. I'm British, and I came over to the States on a temporary work visa to do one ski season with Vail Resorts. I was bartending at an on-mountain restaurant, and a couple of snowboarders come in and start talking to me. It came up that I was only there for the season. Then one of them says, "I'll marry you so you can stay, but we have to go on a date first." We just celebrated our 13-year anniversary, and I'm still in Colorado. He bought me wings when I was having a bad day. We're still together to this day. Took genuine time to get to know me, and bought me a few gifts based on interests he'd asked me about before. I was less amazed by the gifts, and more amazed that he'd cared enough to remember what I actually liked. I'd found most guys wouldn't listen and would just buy me generic stuff like jewelry or chocolates if they wanted to gift me something, which was very nice, but not for me. So when he surprised me with gaming merchandise, I was thrilled. Guys, spend those months properly getting to know her. I found that the best way to get attention from women is to have a girlfriend. My former fiance, he passed away, went 100% cheesy pickup lines but in the goofiest way. He was nervous and I guess had no clue what to say, so he went for broke lol. It went from hello how are you? To a cheesy dad joke why couldn't the bicycle stand up on its own? To the cheesy pickup lines taps pockets like he's looking for something. I lost my number, can I have yours? Although I could tell he was nervous, he had an air of confidence that I was drawn to and he had a great smile. Wow, I did not think this story would blow up the way it did. Thank you very much for the love and my first ever award. And yes, the punchline to the terrible joke is it was too tired Sarosa lol. And I answered it below but I'll add it up here. He was hit by a drunk driver. Since he was taken away from me, I always refer to him as my former fiance. I never say ex-fiance because to me that sounds like we broke up and that absolutely did not happen. He awarded my comment. Was on a date. Had been talking about books and authors. He asked me if I wanted to go back to his place to check out his book collection. Mine was bigger, but the 6 was great. We trained martial arts together and he bought me my first gi. I thought it was so kind and sweet. 6 years later and we're now married. Genuinely liking me as a person. Spending a lot of energy getting to know me and figure me out. I know it's strange, but somehow that works for me. Not trying to flirt with me and sending me memes instead. We're still together and I couldn't love him more. He got my dog's balls unstuck from the frozen porch with some hot water and a spatula. Then told me to spray the porch with Pam so it doesn't happen again. I don't know either. I never realize if someone is flirting with me or nobody ever flirted with me. He asked for nudes. I sent him hentai. Then he sent me memes. Then I sent him memes.